All right, you guys, next thing that we have is the entity digital organizer. So we're going to use this for anyone that has a S corporation, a partnership, or just a general C corporation to get us, what we're really trying to get when we do entity tax returns is your profit and loss statement and your balance sheet so that we make sure that we fill out the entity tax returns correctly. So we're going to start here at the top and then just want to just show you these are the go-to sections. And then as we ask questions inside the organizer, it's going to pop up additional screens that are going to need to be filled out. So get used to this go-to section and then this attached documents as we're asking you in the organizer to upload like your profit and loss, your balance sheet. It's going to keep a history of those so you can see what you're going to be uploading to TaxDome so that we can prepare your tax returns. And then down here at the bottom, we have the next button. And then when we're done, we're going to click the submit button. And then we have steps 1 of 8. That's going to kind of keep a history of what you filled out and what you haven't as far as the organizer in each page. One thing that I like to do is if I hit Control Plus on my computer, I can make the wording a little bit bigger. So sometimes the wording can be a little bit small. I'm not sure how you can increase and decrease that on your side, but one thing that you might want to do. Okay, so I always say make sure you read all this information here. This is just a following example of supporting documentation that we're going to have you upload into your TaxDome portal for tax preparation. Once you've read that, you'll click Next. One thing that I like that we've added here is the 2025 date calendar of when tax returns are due for partnerships and S-Corps. So we have March 15 and we have March 15 for S-Corps. So this is the due date. Notice it's 1 month earlier than our personal tax return. We can always extend these returns till September, and it's 1 month before the personal deadline of October. So we'll move to the next screen, and then as you can see, as we're just marching our way down, we're now on entity information. First thing we want to know if this is the first year that we're going to be doing your tax return. If you're new, you're going to click the yes button, and we're going to have you upload prior year tax returns. 1 year is good, 2 years is better. And then if you have your LLC or your incorporation documents, we want to have those updated as well. Those operating agreements are going to say how we need to file tax returns, especially if you have multiple owners, how you split the profit and losses. So very important there that we get that data. I always like to read through them before I prepare tax returns to make sure I'm doing them according to the legal documents that you have. We click no, then we're just going to go into the business name, the legal name. If you're using a DBA, which is a doing business as, you'll type in that. Federal ID number, it's a 9-digit number, starts with 2 digits and then has 7 digits after that. And then I always want to know who the person is that's actually going to be signing on the tax return. If you have multiple owners in the business, who's going to be the one that's actually going to put their name on the tax return? And type of entities, what we've tried to do to make it simple for you guys is the questions that we're asking is just going to be general to all three of these entity types. So if you'll just let us know if it's a partnership or an S corporation or a C corporation, then we know what tax return we're going to be filing. And then the entity formation date, if you just set up in 2025, make sure we have that date where you set it up. If it's a kind of previous, we can look at prior year tax returns, but do your best to get this date correct. We also want to know the state that you organized in. We do a lot of tax returns in multiple states. So let us know what state that you registered in. We're also going to ask if you do business in any other state. So, and you're just clicking yes, no on a lot of these questions. Next is our principal business activity. Just describe what the business does so we have a general idea of what type of tax return we're filing, what industry. And then if you work with our attorney that we recommend, we're usually keeping your entity map updated. So if you met with the attorney at the end of the year, then we're just going to have you upload that entity map. If you don't have an attorney that does an entity map, you'll just click no. Then we just want to know, hey, are we wrapping up this entity? This is going to be the final return that's going to file. Click yes. No. And then we're going to go into the business contact information. So we just need to know the business address, city, state, and zip, phone number, email, website. All these questions are asked inside the tax return. So that's why we're asking them here so we can make sure we fill it in correctly. And then where we're just trying to keep the entity organizers the same, we might use partner or shareholder. Just depends on, if we're doing a 1065 or the 1120S. This is going to be your ownership. So we want to know the names, the titles, socials of each of the people that own the business that are needing to receive a K1. This is just percentage of ownership beginning, percentage of ownership at year end. Sometimes we're selling off our interest or gaining additional shares. So we want to make sure we have those entered. Then you always need to add the additional owners. So if you have multiple owners, once you click that, now we have number two. You're going to fill out the information. If we made a mistake, we added too many, you can always just delete that section, go back, and then we get rid of it here. If we're a partnership, we always have to have at least two people that are owners. That's how we create a partnership, where an S-Corp could just be one owner. Okay. Next is the most important part is we're getting into the accounting side. So our first question is really, how do you have your profit and loss and balance sheet data to send over to us so we complete the tax return? So thank you to all those that have been using us for bookkeeping. It's been nice to have you guys, and it's actually really easy for us to do your tax returns because we've been doing your bookkeeping monthly. And so once we reconcile that December statement, tie into our interests, those depreciations, those few accounting entries that you're in, we're ready to file your tax returns already. Maybe you have an outside bookkeeper. If they use online, and they can provide us access. You can say no. If you say yes, then just send the invite to Nelson Business Advisors. We can accept that and we can go in and review your QuickBooks Online file. So this is probably the most important question to answer because depending on how we answer this, additional information is going to pop up needing to be filled out. So we do our own using a software. Great. Once we click that, then we're going to be able to have you fill out certain sections in the organizer to get that data. Maybe we use a spreadsheet. So when we use a spreadsheet, our goal is to have it to where you guys can go in and take that data from your Excel or you haven't done bookkeeping and come in and fill this section out for us. It's your business income and expenses. So your total income, we try to give you ideas on what numbers need to go in here. So income is going to be all the money that came in from your sales or your services. And then we get into all of our deductions. And so we have advertising, bank fees, commissions. We have a pretty good list here. It's actually pretty long. But this list should hit about 80% of your accounts. And then you just fill in the little miscellaneous other categories that maybe is specific to your industry. Okay, so we try to give you little ideas. So, hey, I bought some business cards, paid for a website. Great. Go to your bank account, add up those expenses, put in your dollar amount here, and then just work your way down the organizer. Okay. I know it's a little bit long, but this is probably the most important area where you need to spend time is if you haven't done your bookkeeping, making sure we get that data in. Go back to our step one. And then we are able to take on more bookkeeping clients now. So if you're like, hey, I'm tired of year end and having to fill this all out, I just want to have it done monthly, then just reach out to us. Then if you pick us, great. Our bookkeeping team will provide the relevant statements. Next question is if you have any contract labor, outside labor, and you need to issue a 1099, all required 1099s have been completed, means you've done it yourself, DIY. Great, just go in and add those documents into here so we can keep them in our records. And then if you need assistance, we can look at helping you on that. We do charge for 1099s. And then did this entity pay any points during the year? No, employees did have an employee. Then we want to see your year-end W-2s of all employees, have those attached so we can tie into those numbers on the tax return. And then do you maintain a home office? If we click yes here, then our home office deduction sheet's going to pop up. We want to make sure we're getting that deduction. And then this is your automobile deduction. If we click yes, we want to know about your vehicles used during the year. So hopefully you can see how the organizer is starting to work. Click next. So home office, what we're really looking for is we want to get that business use percentage. We're going to look at the total square footage of the home compared to the business use area. So I'm inside my home office right now. So I just calculate the square footage of my office and then we divide it by the total square foot of the home. And that lets us know how much we can write off of our utilities, which would be gas, electric, sewer, water, propane, trash. If you rent and you don't own, you want to put in your annual rent. So if you paid $1,000 a month, it'd be $12,000 in rent. And so we want to make sure we get all those deductions. Vehicles, we want to know what vehicle you're driving, what your odometer reading. I always like to kind of have that put in. So I always go to my odometer 1/1/2026, write down that odometer reading. So I know what my beginning point is, my end point. So that I can put in my total miles driven for the year with the vehicle. And then I need to break out what the business miles is based on my logs. So we put some tips in here. You can use Mile IQ. You know, if you ever audited, the IRS would want to see a log of your start and stops and all that. And then you're going to answer these basic questions that the IRS wants to know. You just do your yes, no's. This is a good one. So if you pay interest on your vehicle, then we want to have you upload that December loan statement showing what that interest is. Make sure we get that deduction. Same thing, you can add additional vehicles that you're using. You can add and then delete if you accidentally do too many. Click next. Have you sent or received any IRS or state authority notices? Just want to know if you have any notices out there that need to have attention. Please upload, all of the notices that you've received so we can help guide you on that. And then we pretty much worked our way down. We tried to keep this organizer actually really short and condensed because at the end of the day, it's just the profit and loss, the balance sheet is the most important part of this so that, that's what a business entity return is. And then we have our comments and questions. So if you have any comments, questions, hey, make sure you don't forget about this or, any detailed items you want me to know, please type that in. And then you can always add documents to, hey, I did solar on one of my properties. Here's, add the document. Here's my solar contract or whatever it may be. Okay. And then this is just the final step. We just ask that you try to fill out the organizer, upload all the data, have it attached inside of here so that when you submit it, we only have to pick up your file once to complete the tax return. So you're not sending, one piece of data every single week and we don't know when to really start doing your tax return. So that's what this, once you click yes on here, then inside TaxDome, we have pipeline. So then I'll move to the next stage and say, hey, this is ready for tax preparation. And then we're going to start working on it. So we try to do our best to be as efficient as possible to help the tax season go smooth on our end and get tax returns completed as quickly as possible. But always accuracy is always a key when I'm preparing tax returns. Then you'll click submit. And then once that goes through, you'll see all these documents inside your TaxDome under your client folder. And so let's say that you do miss something and later on you have to add it. You can just go right into TaxDome, upload it inside of there. So we just ask everyone to follow these steps. We make sure we're not skipping any steps. So it should be pretty easy for you to handle. If you have any questions, just please reach out and we'll guide you along that process. All right, thanks guys. We'll talk soon.